Hello YouTube, I'd be crazy coming at you again. Yes, I'm back. For those of y'all who didn't see the other video, I am back and I am recording again. I decided I'm going to go ahead today, try to get a couple videos under my belt before I get back to this first F&M and test my equipment, make sure I got everything set up and ready to go. So what we're going to do is I'm going to give you my first deck tech in a while. This deck tech is going to be on something that I'm working on. I might possibly run this Friday. I don't know. It's still in the early stages. But I figure I'll give you all first look at it. Tell me what you think and we can go from there. This is my first crack at my own junk tokens list. So first thing I'm going to show you here will be the mana base. First thing we'll go through, of course, we're going to have 4 Temple Gardens. So Temple Gardens, obviously the Shocklands are going to be the key to this mana base. So 4 Temple Gardens. Next will be 4 Overgrown Tombs. Once again, Shocklands, Shocklands, Shocklands. This isn't a budget build by any stretch of the imagination for those of y'all out there watching, so just be aware. There are some very expensive cards in this build. So, and like I said, this is a very rough build, so y'all feel free to give me your advice. Next on the list, 4 Godless Shrines. Green, white, black obviously being the mana base. Next on the list, 4 Sunpetal Groves. And then we have 2 Woodland Cemeteries. I know a lot of people run Vault of the Archangel here. I run Gavony Township. I got 2 copies of it. Seems to be a little more consistent for finishing off people with. But because I don't run the Intangible Virtue in my version of this deck. So there's 2 Gavony Townships. 1 Swamp, my favorite artwork Forest, and 1 Plains. That's the mana base for the deck. As you can see, 4, 8, 12, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 23 mana. Been testing it. Mana hasn't been an issue. I actually cut 2 out. I've seen some builds with 25, some builds with 23. I went down to 23 because my build runs a Mana Dork. So, and I also run Farseeks. So it's mana hasn't seemed to have been an issue. If anything, sometimes I'm getting a little flooded. So 23, cutting down to 23 seemed like a pretty good deal. So there's the mana base. Let me gather all this up and get it out of y'all's way. I'll try not to let this take too long. Like I said, I just want to get a couple videos under my belt before Friday Night Magic. And then at the same time, maybe I can get some advice from people on how to improve this deck, because still having the few minor issues even with what's going on, what I have. So, alright, first creatures I have. 4 Avacyn's Pilgrims. Very good for mana ramp in a 3-color deck like this. I can't wait for M14 to get Elvish Mystic. I need a green Mana Dork. Next is probably one of the biggest cards in the deck. Obviously the most expensive is 4 Voice of Resurgence. Very good card. Still think it's a little overpriced. $60 seems a little extreme for this card, but I may be underestimating it. I know I've played against it, and both times it's proved to be a huge pain in the rear end, especially for control decks that, if they don't have an answer for it when it hits the board, then it gets a little out of hand, especially if your deck can drop a whole bunch of small creatures really fast and make that token really big. So that's a pretty good creature. Like I said, not 100% that he's worth $60, but I think he's more in like the $35 to $40 range myself, but you never know. He starts seeing play in other formats and he'll just keep going up. Next is probably the biggest question mark in my deck right now. I'm not sure that I absolutely need this guy. 4 copies of Thragtusk. I'm almost ready to put Luxodon Smiter in that spot. I'm not 100%. I know in my meta, in my area, there are a lot of little fast red decks, stuff like that. So it proves to be needed a lot of times, but at the same time it's a little slow and I have a hard time getting to him and surviving. So almost ready to put Luxodon Smiter in that spot. Next we'll move on to the spells. That's the only actual creatures per se there are in the deck. Those 3, like I said, Luxodon Smiter might take Thragtusk's spot. Next will be some spells. We'll just go right into it here. 4 Farseeks. Obviously need a little bit of mana ramp. Anything I can to fix those colors. So next will be my first token per se. Once again, Selesnya Charm. Very good. It also acts as a control card. You play a lot of these decks that has anything with power 5 or more. You can exile their creature. It's, you know, like I said, it's been pretty good. Not convinced I need 4 of it. The token itself is kind of it's kind of on the fence. It's the 2 toughness, you know, the vigilance is great. 2 toughness is okay. Being vigilant helps once in a while, but most of the time it's just too small to do any real damage. So, you know, I'm not 100% on that being a 4 of. Next on the list is probably one of the best cards in the deck outside of the Voice of Resurgence, which is Lingering Souls. Obviously, Lingering Souls has been pretty much a mainstay in any token deck since it was created. And Lingering Souls with Gavony Township gets really ridiculous. And if they happen to kill the Voice of Resurgence token here, or the Voice of Resurgence and you get the token, Lingering Souls is what makes that thing huge. So Lingering Souls is a pretty important card in the deck. Next card is probably one of my favorites that's come out with Dragon's Maze, and that is going to be Advent of the Worm. Advent is an absolutely awesome card. The ability to drop a 5/5 with trample, with basically with flash, at instant speed, whatever you want to call it. Being able to drop that like right before combat is ridiculous. Your opponent has like a little 3/3 or 4/4 they've been beating you to death with. You finally get that 4-man on the board, and bam! Instead of that little 3/4 Resto Angel, you get to drop a big old 5/5 trampling worm. Granted, it is a token, and M14's coming out, Ratchet Bomb's coming back, so that's kind of but at the same time, instant speed makes it really, really good, and at the same time, it's making the token off of Voice of Resurgence even bigger at instant speed. So you can go ahead, wait till they attack, flash this in. The Voice of Resurgence token got bigger that they thought was a little bit smaller. Now you've got a giant 5/5 worm, and however big your Voice of Resurgence token is. And don't discount that Voice of Resurgence token. You want that Voice of Resurgence to die. Preferably you want to trade with something and let that Voice of Resurgence die, especially in a deck like this, because you want that token more than you want the Voice of Resurgence. And the Voice of Resurgence itself, like I said, it's just there to die. I understand why they use it in a lot of the junk Aristocrats decks, because they basically just want to sacrifice him so they can get that token along with all their Lingering Souls and everything else. So, and all their little stuff like their all the different ones that produce more tokens, yada yada yada. So I can understand why the junk Aristocrats deck's actually pretty popular. I'm not 100% sold on it, but you never know. I'm trying this route first. So, alright, there's my rant. Alright, moving on, a few more spells. Putrefy, probably one of the best removals available for this deck. Destroy target creature, and it cannot be regenerated. So, there's a lot of regenerate stuff out there right now. The junk Aristocrats decks are running Varals. They run Lotleth Troll, stuff like that. Well, they don't run Lotleth Troll, I'm sorry, but they run Varals, which can regenerate, which is important to that deck. If you do come up against a Lotleth Troll, stuff like that, or anything that has any type of regenerate ability, the cannot regenerate is pretty important, or things of that matter. So it's a pretty good removal, especially for this deck where colors doesn't seem to be too much of an issue. Next, and these are probably the ones that I'm more than likely going to be tweaking, because these have been really, really good. Rootbound Defenses. Rootbound Defenses is awesome in this deck. Especially when you play the control player, they throw out Supreme Verdict. You respond with the Rootbound Defenses. Not only do you save everything, but more than likely you're going to get to save and populate this big old 5/5 worm, or your Voice of Resurgence token, or whatever. So if you got a Voice of Resurgence token on the board and a whole bunch of stuff, that's what you're targeting, because you want to populate that. It makes itself bigger. So pretty good. That might end up going back to a 3 or 4 of. I'm not sure yet, because I do have the other populate card in the deck, which is Druid's Deliverance. Essentially a fog with the populate mechanic attached to it. So you know, another great card for the deck such as this. And like I said, both of these might end up back at 3 ofs. They've been really good. I've just been trying to make room for the Mana Dork because I need that little bit of ramp early to start getting to like my Lingering Souls turn 2, especially against the really aggressive aggro decks, which, like I said, are really popular around here. The really aggressive aggro decks have proven to be a little bit of an issue, especially since I don't have any like major board control up here recently. While my cameras have been down, my computer's been down, I've really gotten on board the control train, so missing my Supreme Verdicts really badly right now. But Druid's Deliverance has been an excellent card for decks such as this, populating these tokens. Any or all of them is really good, and like I said, more than likely end up back at a 3 of. The next one is another card. It's kind of iffy on my radar right now. Last cards in the deck, Garruk, Primal Hunter. I know a lot of people run Sorin in this spot. I unfortunately don't have any Sorins, and I really hate to invest in a card that's going to cycle. I just happen to have Garruk still, so I really hate to invest in a card that's going to cycle, especially since Garruk's going to cycle as well. For those of y'all who aren't aware, there is a new Garruk coming with M14, so one more expensive, but a whole lot better than this guy. That's just my opinion. But Garruk, really good token producer, spitting out 3/3 beasts. If I got a Mana Dork, I can get him out of turn sooner. If I get a couple Mana Dorks, then it really gets out of hand. But you know, get my Mana Dorks and stuff in there. But Primal Hunter, really good card. Like I said, a lot of people run Sorin here, especially for the fact that they want to drop him, take his emblem, so that they can make their Lingering Souls ridiculous. A lot of people in a build like this also run Intangible Virtue. Personally, I gave all my Intangible Virtues away to friends that were running similar builds, and I don't have any, but at the same time, I don't know that I want any because I don't know where I would put them. Obviously, I could probably, you know, drop the Putrefies and maybe drop a Selesnya Charm or something like that, and, you know, I can make room for the Intangible Virtues, but I like having just a couple removal cards there for that one or two creatures that just gets out of hand that I can't deal with my creatures. So if they got a big beater on their side, I can get rid of it. So I do like to have a couple of removal spells. So I hate to drop Putrefies and stuff like that, but at the same time, I might test with the Intangible Virtue and see if that helps too. I mean, I know all my tokens being vigilant and bigger, especially in a mirror match of some way, shape, or form, could be huge. But I don't know. Like I said, this is rough draft number 1. So, you know, all the feedback y'all want to give me, you know, feel free to shoot me any feedback y'all have. I'll listen to anything y'all have to say. I will test and change and do whatever I have to do. So, like I said, just give me your feedback. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think of this video as well. This is my first deck tech since getting all my stuff back up and running, so it's important to me to know how this quality of this video looks right now. Compared to some of my older ones, I know that I'm doing a little bit different angle here, so you've got a little more straight up vertical, you know, look at the deck. At the same time, you don't have as much glare, I believe, as the older videos, and at the same time, you don't get all the camera shake and stuff like that. So tell me what y'all think of the video as well. Tell me a deck you all want to see me try, or tell me a deck that you would like to see me do a deck tech on. I have a couple friends who have some pretty fun off the wall decks. I have my new modern deck that I've been working on that's more or less my own homebrew, that I will do a deck tech on as well. It is a lot of fun. I'm waiting for my last few cards for it to clear Canadian Customs. So as soon as they get through Canadian Customs and I've got them in hand, then I can get the entire deck together on actual, you know, cards instead of proxies. Then I will do the deck tech on it. But it is a really fun deck. It needs a little bit of work. It's still been play tested, and obviously, you know, when you're working homebrews and stuff like that, it's, you know, my own take on like a modern Jund deck, but with nothing like you've seen before. My deck is definitely one of a kind in my opinion. Me and a friend have been working on this deck. We're both running similar versions. I'm running Jund, he's just running straight green black. So we expect the deck to be highly competitive, and maybe one of these days I can take it to a major tournament and see exactly how competitive it really can be. So look forward to that in the near future, because that'll be probably one of my next deck techs. But tell me what you think of this. Tell me what you think of the deck. Tell me if you have any ideas. You know, I'm looking for as much input as possible now that I'm back up and running. I want to do everything I can to you know, to put out the best product for everybody available. I know everybody has different, you know, different likes and dislikes. This may not be your cup of tea deck, so like I said, give me an idea what you would like to see. I do a lot of homework on Magic and things of this such, so being able to you know, take, you know, I can find decks anywhere online that maybe you can't find, or you haven't found, or you've heard things about but you just haven't been able to find it. You know, give me your feedback. Tell me what you want to see, and I'll see if what I can do about, you know, putting it up here for y'all and let you see it like actual, you know, live, so, or semi-live, whatever you want to call it. But I appreciate everybody's time, everybody's patience with me being, you know, off the air for as long as I have been. I appreciate everybody's time, and I really hope to see everybody leave some feedback. And for everybody in the Parkersburg, Vienna, you know, Belpre, Marietta area, West Virginia, and Ohio, be sure to come out on Friday nights. The shop is booming. Ever since we've had a few little remodels here recently, the shop is looking fantastic. And so Lost Legion Games and Comics here in Parkersburg / Vienna, West Virginia. You know, all y'all come out, support the shop, come out for Friday Night Magic. This coming week will be standard. You'll more likely see this brew here on, more likely for me. Like I've done before in the past, I'll be recording F&M this week, so everybody come out and have some fun. You might get yourself on camera. I usually do it all randomly. I don't like go off of who I think's doing the best, or I definitely don't really want to see net decks. I mean, that's the thing. I usually, for the first few rounds for F&M, what I'm looking for is those off-the-wall homebrews. I want to show those. I don't really care about the net decks. I know this that I'm showing you is more or less a net deck. I don't really care about those things. So, you know, bring those homebrews. Come out, have some fun. You probably get on camera if it's something really off the wall, because I really want to see those. And then more likely the final match, whoever's going to be winning will be the final camera match. So, but thank you all for watching. I hope to see y'all out there for F&Ms. Go to your local F&M, support the game, and y'all have a great day.